Okay, we're live. Yay.
Hooray.
All right, so I'm Amanda Hawes. I'm the elementary math and technology coach, and this is
Amelia Von Gehr, and I'm a third grade teacher here at Rosemary.
And thank you to anyone that tunes in live, and thank you to anyone that watches later. This is kind of an experiment. I haven't done a Hangout on air before, so if you have any technical difficulties, I apologize. My suggestion, if you end up with a frozen screen or anything like that, is to just close out and then go back to the link that's in your email, or go back to Google Plus, excuse me, and you can go to the events page and get back into the video that way as well. But hopefully you do not have any technical difficulties. Also, if you've not used this before, oh look, we have one viewer. We're very excited because we didn't know if anyone would tune in live or not. But if you have not used this before, you should also at the top of your screen, I believe, have the waffle icon. That's the 9-square Google icon. If you click on that, you have a Q&A option. So you could ask us questions live, or there's also the showcase button. And the showcase button links to a couple of web links that we're sharing out as well. If it's not at the top of your screen, then it's on the left side of your screen like mine is, but I think it's at the top. So we're gonna get started. It'll probably be about 30 minutes, I would imagine. So hopefully you can hang out with us for the 30 minutes. But we're gonna share a couple of strategies we have for hands-on fractions. And if you wanna follow up on any of these, you can email myself or you can email Amelia and ask specific questions about anything we shared. So I'm gonna start with fraction strips. And then Amelia has a couple games that go really great with these. So I think a lot of us have used fraction strips before, and we all got these strips a few years ago in our HM kits, which are great for some of the games and things we play. I went to a training, and I think some of you that are tuning in went to the training as well with San Jose State about 4 or 5 years ago now. And we talked about creating fraction strips and the power behind having kids actually make the fraction strips themselves. So this is what they would look like after the kids make them. But I'm gonna kind of run through the process for making those as well. So you would wanna start by cutting out strips in a variety of different colors. So I just have a bunch of blank strips of construction paper in different colors. And then usually I would do this. I've done this whole class, that you could do it in small groups if you wanted to as well. I think it would work either way, but I have done it whole class and it's been fine with 5th graders. It would be great to start this with 3rd graders. I also, the first time I did it, started doing these in the middle of our fraction unit. So even if you've already started your fraction unit and you just think that the kids need more support in developing conceptual understanding, it doesn't hurt to go back and do this again, even if you've already gotten started. So the way that we start, I usually hold this up with the kids and I say, this is gonna be our whole, and we take a pen or a pencil and we label the whole together. So they're gonna label their fractions with word form and number form. And in this case, they're gonna show the fraction version of one whole as well. And then we set aside our one whole and we take another color and we start with our halves. And I would probably say to the kids, okay, take your strip and you're gonna fold it in half, nice and neat, end to end. It has to touch end to end because fractions mean that we have equal pieces of a whole. So we want the pieces to be equal. And we fold that in half. And then I'm gonna say, okay, this side of this piece is 1/2, say it with me, 1/2. What's the name of the fraction? So we talk to them about the names of fractions. To get them used to the fact that the denominator means that that's what the name of the fraction is. And then I'll ask them, what's the value of one piece? And so the value of the one piece is 1/2. The name of the fraction is halves. And so then when we draw it in, it's gonna start to look something like this. So just like the wholes, they're gonna write in word form, the name of the fraction, the value in word form, and the value in number form. And we would keep repeating that process with our 4ths and with our 8ths, and then we did 3rds and we did 6ths, and we did up to 16ths, and then it got too hard to fold the fraction, so we stopped there. But we were able to get 16ths out of our kits, and when we were all done labeling everything, then I did have the kids go through and cut out the pieces and save all the pieces. It is a really long process the first time, but really, really helpful process. So I would definitely recommend taking the time to walk through that with them. And so now Amelia has a couple of games that go really well with the fraction kit. So I'm gonna have her show you those.
So this is a game that I just learned from somebody on my grade level. Thank you, Angie Jones. we took this fraction strip, and my third graders loved it. They are obsessed with this game. So we took the whole, and each partner has an envelope that is full of each of the pieces. So we made wholes, halves, fourths, and eighths. And each kid has an envelope with that inside. So they take out is it okay if I use this side?
Yep, of course.
Take out the whole, and they're putting it down on a desk, and the other partner has one too. And then they start to roll a die. And so this is just a regular die with little label stickers on it. And we have, let's see, yours looks totally the same as mine, huh? This one there's a half, a fourth, 2 1/8, and 2 1/16. So you're more likely to roll 1/8 or 1/16. And they roll the die and say they get 1/16. They're going to say the fraction, 1/16, and then they're going to find it in their bag and pull it out and put it on top of their whole. So the goal is to complete the whole before your partner does. And so they have to say the fraction. And what's really cool about this game is the students, when they start to get pretty full here, so say they have a fourth and a half and a 16th, and then they roll 1/4 again, it doesn't fit. So they start to think about, oh, I need, one more eighth and one more 16th to make a whole. And before we played this game, we just started the fractions unit. I asked my students, what do you think would be a bigger fraction, 1/16 or 1/2? And a lot of them said 1/16 because they didn't have that number sense. And now all of them are really confident in, the smaller the denominator, the smaller the denominator, the greater the fraction, and vice versa. So that's been exciting.
I love it. Yeah. Do you want to show them the domino one too while we're at it?
Yeah. Okay. So another game that you can do a couple different things with dominoes, but it's fun because they already have the line and 2 numbers. So having students just say the fraction, like this is 3/5. And you can also have students do some comparing if they're at that point. We are going to be using our fraction strips to do that since they aren't able to do that mentally yet, but build, each partner pulls a domino. What is this fraction? Build it, and which one is greater.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen that game before. I really like it. I was going to go back to the dice too. So Amelia has these dice that she made, and I made them in my class as well. And I just wanted to remind people that we got these with the HM kits, right? Years ago. But if you don't have them anymore, or if you can't find them, or if you're new, you wouldn't have them. Julie Dunn has a ton of these. I was just at the warehouse the other day. And so you can email Julie Dunn if you want to get, you get like a kit like this with all the blank dice, and you can make your own dice. So check with her before you start going out to buy those things, because she has a ton of them. Okay, and just a couple more things. So I also like making fractions with my kids using patty paper. Have you used this before? I might leave that if you want some of that. But patty paper is just that paper that they use at diners to layer hamburgers, and you can order it online. It's pretty easy to find, but it's another great way, just like with the fraction strips, to have kids take the pieces and fold them to see the fractions and make the fractions and label them. But the other thing that you can do with patty paper that's really nice is, because it's a little more see-through, if they draw the lines nice and dark, they can layer them to compare fractions. Oh, that does show up pretty good.
Wow.
So they can compare the fractions that way. And then when you get into 5th grade and you have to multiply fractions, you could actually use these and layer them opposite directions. They don't fit perfectly because they're not a perfect square, but enough that you could look at multiplying fractions and use these for those models, because I found that the kids had a hard time drawing the models until we did something like this, so that they understood that when they were layering them in their pictures, this is what they were doing, taking the 2 fractions and putting them on top of each other. So that is another trick that I found very useful. And then I also have this game. If you want one, I'll leave the black line with you. I don't know if you have that. But this is fun because it brings a little bit of art into math, and they're just fraction quilts. So you take a hundreds grid, and the kids pick 4 colors. You want them to stick to 4 colors because the fractions will come out nice and even if they use 4 colors. So they can color in the design any way that they want to. And then in the bottom, you see that they're asked to count up the number of squares for each color. So they count up the black, and I had 16 black, so that's 16 out of 100. And so they're working with hundredths. You could have the kids then simplify their fractions if you want. You can, some of the kids that were a little more advanced wanted to do some more complex drawing. So they said, oh, can I just color in half of a square? And I said, yeah, you can color in half of a square. So then they have to start adding up the halves later when they're totaling their fractions, which was kind of cool too. And then it also prompts them to start working with the decimal fractions. And so it's a nice way to make that connection right away between fractions and decimal fractions, because they're working with hundredths. And then on the back of this particular form, so if you want this, I can email this to you, but on the back of this particular form, it also prompts them to write in the equivalent dollar amount for the decimals on that last column, which is really nice. So now we're connecting fractions, decimal fractions, and money all in the same activity. So I really like that one. There you go. Thank you. Yeah. So you can kind of see what the grid looks like on the back. But I have this and I can email it. This also came from that San Jose State Institute a few years ago. So if you went to that, then you probably have this somewhere, but let me know if you want a copy of that as well. And those were the few things that I was going to go over today. If you check the showcase button, it looks like a yellow tag. There's a link to a blog post that I put out that had a few other activities. And there's also a link to my website. So if you want to follow up on anything, you can contact me there. Amelia's email is
Vongerer, VONGERER @Campbell.
So if you want to email Amelia about some of the games she's playing with her 3rd graders, you can do that as well. Or if you come up with anything cool, let us know too, because I think with the fraction strips, you can create a lot of really fun games. So that is it. So thanks to those of you that tuned in live. This is fun because it's the first time we've done this. And so I'm really glad Amelia joined us too. And if you guys like this format, we'll do some more of these in the future. Thanks, guys. Bye.